everybody. This is Eric Stark with Radio Arizona RV. So today's episode is number 53, and we're going to pick up where we left off in episode number 52 with our interview with Mark Spillsbury from Go Power Solar. And as a reminder, Go Power is owned by Valterra Products, and you guys all know I'm a fan of Valterra because they have very good products, very little problems. So we do appreciate that. Now, as a reminder, check out our websites, Arizona RV Parts Center. It's overgone a facelift, so hopefully it's all finished by the time this episode is produced and just going to look better, work better, better functionality. So we decided to make that change, and for everybody's benefit. Makes it easier for you, makes it easier for us. And don't forget to look at sunpromfg.com, our website where we make all of our sunshade products, and they're all available there. And look at our easy shades and our ultra shades. They have new lower prices, so you want to check that out, save some money. They're dropped down by about 25-30%, so a big savings there. So again, this is Eric Stark with Radio Arizona RV, and we're going to pick up where we left off last week with Mark Spillsbury in our interview with Go Power Solar Products. All right, so we're back today with Mark Spillsbury from Go Power, and we're going to continue our discussion about Go Power solar panels. And last episode, we left at what is Go Power's warranty, and 25 years on the rigid panels, and the years vary on the other stuff. So awesome warranty, guys. You got to check that out too. And it's definitely something to consider when you're buying a panel. But now we're going to pick up kind of into the more technical side of the panels, if you install your system and how you can get some help with it. So, Mark, you're back today, and I want to thank you for coming back again. And
hey, no problem.
With the panels, if someone's doing an installation, I'm sure you guys get a million phone calls, but if they have a problem, they're doing their install and they get down to the end there, and maybe it doesn't seem like the panels are charging or the controller's not working properly, can they call you guys for tech support?
Of course. Yeah, we get it a lot. Like what it usually is people just don't quite understand the solar controllers or the controller, just because it's like the window into the system, because solar, obviously, it's a passive technology. You can't really see it working and what it's doing. So with a digital solar controller, this gives us a window into what you're actually seeing. So on our controllers, they'll show you three different things primarily. So it'll show you your battery voltage, if you care. I don't. How many amps the panel's producing. So that gives you an idea, where, what kind of power you're getting. And then, but most people like myself, I leave it on a percentage of power remaining. So it's based off voltage, but it gives you a pretty good indicator of where your battery's sitting. So if you're at, 85% or 40%, if you're getting low, you need to know, okay, maybe I need to roll back on some of my stuff, or if I'm in great shape. Just gives you that little peace of mind, which is nice.
Right. Okay. So you guys are more than willing to help someone. They call you, hey, I got some Go Power panels and a charge controller, a little bit of issue here. And then if there's let's say you guys are on the phone and you diagnose it as the charge controller is bad, do you guys just take care of that, or do they have to go back to the store where they bought it? How does that work?
Most of the time, if it's over the phone and we're working with customers, usually we handle ourselves. Sometimes it's just easier. But if they're comfortable with their dealer that they're working with or the store, they'll swap it out. But we're pretty easygoing that way, to be honest. A lot of times when we get the call, it's usually just because they don't know what they're seeing, so that it's a bit of education, and then we write them on their way. One of our controllers is a dual bank controller, so some people will think, well, if I got two batteries, how come I'm only charging battery one and not battery two? But then it's just explaining that once those batteries are wired together, it's really one big battery, and you're not using battery two. Those controllers that feature is for if you had a class, ABC RV, its primary job is to charge your house batteries, but then it can also charge the vehicle starting battery, so it can maintain both while the vehicle is being used or parked. Things like that they may not have caught in part of the call. So.
Okay, perfect. So sometimes it's just little things they missed, maybe in the instructions, or not understanding something totally. So it's pretty simple stuff in most cases if they're having a problem.
Yeah, it's really rare when a solar panel fails. Usually, and if it does fail, it's the least expensive part of the whole panel, which is usually the little diode in the back. But it's just pretty rare because usually it's like, I think it's less than 1 in 1,000 fail. So that's pretty reliable. So usually we can rule that out.
Right.
I have had to ask people if the RV is outside, and sometimes it's not. So I got to make sure that it's out in the sun. But you never know.
Right. My computer doesn't work. Did you turn it on?
No. Well, I've had another one where a couple lived in Michigan, and they came back to dead batteries over the winter. I'm like, because they were down, I think they were in Arizona or somewhere. But I guess I had to think about it for a bit. I'm like, well, is there any chance the RV was covered in snow for most of the winter? And of course it was. It was buried, but I think they'd left something on, so it just drained the batteries. But it had no. If solar is covered in snow, it can't really charge the batteries
right.
well. So things like that.
Yeah, that happens. That sounds like things I do.
Yeah.
In the heat of battle, you get all fired up.
You're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but they're pretty. If there's something wrong, like, it's pretty quick, and we'll work with the customer to figure it out.
So that kind of leads to troubleshooting. You guys, if someone calls you, you can pretty much just walk them through the troubleshooting process, right? It's pretty straightforward too, I think.
Yeah, ideally, yeah. If you're listening, just make sure you leave everything the way it is, ideally, so then we can walk you through it versus taking everything out and go, I got a bad controller or a bad solar panel, but it might have been totally fine, and now we have no way to tell. So ideally, they could wait for us. So definitely call us first, and we'll walk you guys through it.
All right. So they're going to have to dig into it a little bit and be patient, and using a meter is going to be much more better than a test light, correct? A voltmeter versus test light.
You've heard that before. Yes.
Okay.
It's always good to have in your RV if you don't have one.
Right. I just had someone the other day, they just really fight me on this. Just, you got to get a voltmeter. I don't want to get one,
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to have one. You're in an RV,
You should.
It's a lot more accurate than a test light. Test lights, might light up. It doesn't mean you're getting the voltage you need or the amps, whatever it might be. Where a voltmeter just tells you what you have.
A lot of the inverters that are out there too, if you're on inverter power and then you go to test the outlets, they'll show you faults because of just how inverters create their power. But if you're on short power, it won't. So that's a whole other thing. But good to know. Yeah.
So a multimeter would be more accurate to say with DC and AC voltage on it. And
I'm getting
different
I'd be
settings.
Happy if everybody had one of those, but
right, with different settings too. So you have 20 volts, 200 volts, 600 volts, whatever. But so you can check it out properly. Even a 600 volt meter is going to give you not the most accurate reading if you're only using 120 volts. So multimeters are the way to go.
Great stocking stuffer. Yeah,
right, there exactly. You go. Yeah, especially for $50 for something halfway decent. You can't go wrong.
No, for sure.
Okay, now still on the technical side here, but we're going to go back up on the roof for a moment. How does somebody really calculate how many panels they need? I probably should ask this sooner, but how many, when you sit here and look at it, and my RV's 40 feet long, I got a microwave, and my wife uses a hair dryer. Is that enough?
Yeah, not really, because there's more to it. Basically, we need to figure out all the things you're going to run throughout your RVing trip. If it's going to, are you going to be like a weekend warrior guy? Are you going to be going for longer trips, or you're full time? That's obviously part of it because you're going to be drawing more, and maybe you'll need to rely on batteries. But if you're a weekend guy, you might only need to rely on your batteries for that weekend. So really, you need to add up all the loads. And if you go to GP Electric, like we were talking.com, we have a solar calculator on there that kind of helps walk you through the steps. And if you go to any of the dealerships, usually they have some of our handouts and stuff, and then we have a sizing sheet page, which is similar to the calculator. This helps add up all the loads you're going to run and gives you an idea of the things maybe you're not thinking about. Because in an RV, there's loads that are running 24 hours a day, like your propane alarm and fridge circuit board and things like that we got to account for. And then it'll give you basically a total number of amp hours you're burning or using. And then that we've already pre-matched that up with the right size solar kits, or at least or options of kits that are available. And then it helps you choose. And then it also will give you a recommended battery bank size. So solar is great and all that, but if you only have one battery, you're going to be hammering that battery at nighttime, and then you could run out of power. So we want to make sure that we have the right amount of batteries to go with the right amount of solar, so that you get the right system.
Right. Okay. Very good. So it's going to take a little bit of work, and I went through the process on your website, and I kind of I went heavy on it, so I need this really killer system, and I'm thinking that's way overboard.
For sure.
And so I realized, it's not your website, it's me. I just didn't answer the questions properly because I was just being lazy about it. I just, whatever, So if you get lazy, you're going to spend more money.
Essentially.
Right.
So that's when I have someone ask, I got a 40-foot RV. What do I need, or what do I want? I'm like, well, it's not that easy. There's a bunch of dependent factors. You could be a couple, or you could be like me, like we were talking. I got 5 kids, so chances are I'm going to be burning more power. They're going to be using more power than the average people are. So there's no one size real fits all. You want to really tailor it based on what kind of RV'er you are.
Right.
And the nice part about solar, anyway, you can add more as you go. So that's something that you can keep growing. And same with batteries, you can add more if you find it's not quite enough, or maybe you're doing more winter RVing now than you were before, so you don't have as much sun hours, that kind of thing. And so that with the inverter, though, that's something you have to choose from the get-go. If otherwise, you have to rewire a bigger one in. So that's usually where someone comes to me, they're like, "Oh, I only want a small inverter. I just want to run my electronics." I'm like, "Well, you sure you're never going to want to run a bigger load like a microwave or toaster or hair dryer and things like that?" Then they kind of get thinking again. I'm like, "Oh, maybe I should," just because you can't really add to the inverter. You got to choose that from the get-go, or you'll have to replace it down the road.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And an inverter is not something you just take out and throw away. It's going to be hard to resell, so you're probably not going to get your money out of it either. And technology changes too. So it's kind of like an old iPhone.
Wire size
sitting
is
around,
different.
After a couple of years, it's not good anymore.
Yep.
I mean,
so you want it to last.
Right. So buy the inverter, spend the money on that up front, and maybe cut back on the panels or the batteries and add those down the road if you feel that's what you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
With the solar, you can wait because obviously they last a long time. With batteries, depending on the battery type, you don't want to wait too long if you're going to do that, just because you don't like mixing. Say you had standard lead acid batteries. If those are 3 or 4 years old and you've used them pretty heavy, you don't want to add brand new ones into the mix, because those old batteries will kind of like try to drain the life, or you'll end up aging those new batteries faster than you'd like. So it's like with batteries, you kind of want to swap them out at the same time, or try to make them around the same amount of time if you can.
Okay, that's an excellent point, and that's something I try to push, and it's just hard for people to accept that because batteries are kind of expensive, but it makes absolute sense. You basically just make your new batteries old batteries, like you said. So, that's an excellent point.
Sooner than you'd like.
Right. Yeah. Okay, very good. And then, along the subject of calculating the panels, it's just you have to put the work into it up front. You can't just try to guess. You're going to have to put a little bit of effort into that. And, like your website will help out with that as well, gpelectric.com. So now another thing, we were talking about the batteries, and what batteries work best with solar, or is it just what batteries work best, period? I mean, is that how it falls? I mean, all batteries are going to work with solar, but would an AGM battery work better with solar than a lead acid?
Well, sort of. So here's my take on it. Like all batteries function the same way. They're a storage device for our solar. So they're a gas tank, but usually lead acid batteries, they have to be vented. So they're less expensive. They're an older technology. If you're not planning to have this RV for too long, maybe they won't want to invest in expensive lithium batteries. But usually these ones are going to be on like the tongue of the trailer. They don't usually leave you a lot of room to have a lot of batteries there. So you usually get maybe 1 to 2 batteries kind of there. When you go to make your system larger, that's usually where I suggest AGM batteries, because AGM stands for absorbed glass mass. They're basically a gel battery that has some wire meshing woven through the lead plates that just allow the battery to be rapidly charged with a converter or a large solar system, for example. So with those, they don't need to be vented. And I say that because no RV is really airtight. So they can be put in places like the pass-through compartment. You can build a little spot. You can put them underneath the bed. Some people put them under the couch seats, that kind of thing. So you can make the system larger with those batteries, where with lead acid, they do vent when you want to keep them outside. So it gives you a way to make the system bigger and have a bigger gas tank. Lithiums are the next craze with batteries. They're still expensive, but there is a lot of interest in them. Lithium so lead acid and AGM, I'll say they have roughly the same amount of cycle life. So that's basically starting off with full and then draining. Let's say we'll drain it down to below 50%. Right around there is what we recommend with those, because you get the average life out of it. So you should get about 200 cycles out of a lead acid or an AGM battery. And if I do my math right, that's going out, say, RVing 20 times a year, which is unfortunately more than I get to do. But those batteries, if you're doing that, should last you about 10 years. And most of the time, people are throwing those batteries away after 2 or 3 years because they've not had solar to charge them and bring them back up to 100%, and or they've left them in a really low state of charge and they sulfated and just we've drained them and hurt them. So that's what's happened with lithium batteries. Ours, for example, and others too, I'm sure, they can handle about 1,500 cycles. And if I do the same math, that works out to be about 75 years.
Wow.
So, and that 1,500 cycles, the batteries only drop to about 90% of the rated power. So they actually can be even more. And then with lithium, you can hammer them from 100% down to, or roughly 90% down to about 10%, where they'll cut out, and it doesn't damage them. So there are benefits to looking at lithium if you're going to have your RV for a while and don't want to have to reinvest in batteries over the next few years if you aren't planning to do solar. So some people also look at it as a way to save weight too, because they're usually less than half the weight of a lead acid or AGM battery, things like that. There are limitations with lithium though. Right now, they don't like to be charged below freezing. So if you've drained your battery down overnight and then woken up, say you're in Colorado, to a below zero day, that battery won't allow itself to be charged back until it's above freezing. So some people have to put little heating blankets in there, DC heating blankets, to make sure that the battery is above freezing. It doesn't hurt the battery; it just won't allow it to charge because it's got a little battery circuit board in there that basically is monitoring it.
Right.
And it also does it on the high end, but it has to be above, I think, 130 Fahrenheit for that to kick in, which I don't know how many people are RVing that hot, but it's possible.
Right.
But there you go. So there's a little bit on batteries. So.
Yeah, so that's pretty helpful. And the lithium batteries, they are new and people don't understand them, but they will work with the solar. It's just a couple of things about it, but they're not, like having it freezing and not charging. That's not a deal breaker, because it's a much better battery, for the lifespan, especially if you're keeping your RV and you're going to hang on to it for a long time, then that's the way to go, really.
Yeah. And if you look at like a lead acid or an AGM battery, like I was saying, you really only want to drop them down to about 50% of the rated power. So if you've got a 100 amp hour battery, really you only have a 50 amp hour battery if you're taking care of it.
Right.
Where if you have a 100 amp hour lithium, you can use all that 100 amps and it doesn't hurt the battery. So you have twice the battery per every other battery you have, right?
Right.
So you get a bit more mileage out of it. But for example, like you might see our 100 amp hour battery in the $1,000 range, where I think the AGMs are in the like $250 to $300 range for the same kind of battery or same size battery. Just to give people an idea of what the costs are out there.
It's more money, but throw it in with the financing, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, and if you get that 30% deal,
right, there you go.
But but if you're buying an RV and you want it to last, if you want to have it, you're planning on having it for a long period of time, it might be worth it to you. Right,
definitely. Yeah, then you just don't have to worry about it. It's just one less thing to worry about. RVs have a lot of things you're maintaining and looking at, and a lot of moving pieces. Like you said, it's a constant 6.0 earthquake, so one less thing to think about there. So along those lines, too, that's less maintenance. And when it comes to a solar system, is there really any maintenance other than washing the panels that you need to do?
Well, other than if you had a lead acid battery, you'd want to make sure your distilled water levels are good over time on the battery side. Mm-hmm. Really, just keeping the panels clean. Because people will go, through dusty roads or like pollen blooms up my way, lots of Scotch broom, so sometimes things look yellow. You got to make sure that it doesn't hurt them. Like I've seen panels actually that are like, you can write your name in, wash me or something on them, and they're still putting out about like 80% of the power that they probably could if they were totally clean. But ideally, if you want the best performance, you just got to clean them every once in a while.
Okay, perfect. So there's not much to do there. Then I think you covered the batteries too. It's just if you have a lead acid battery, you have to check the level of the water in it.
That's it. When we're with AGMs and lithium, you don't touch.
Right.
So that's good too.
Yeah, and AGMs are sealed batteries, so they can lay on their sides and they don't leak or anything like that, like lead acid batteries. They don't make that mess.
Exactly. Yeah.
No corrosion.
Yeah, you have more options for how you're mounting them, where to hide them, or maximize your space in your RV.
Right. There's a lot of things we buy or use that has AGM type batteries or sealed batteries in them that are upside down, laying on their side. So because they don't leak, don't vent. So it's very nice. So now, where could I buy some Go Power products besides Arizona RV Parts Center?
That's the only place you want to buy the stuff right now. Well, primarily we sell to the RV dealerships across North America. There are some online people as well out there, but you can always go to our dealer locator on our website and look for the closest dealer in your area.
All right, perfect. And most RV stores across the United States and probably Canada carry Go Power products or can get them. So if that's your preference, it's not like it's this unattainable product. They all have access to it, and Go Power has been around for a long time. And, it's one of our preferred products. Well, you guys know me. I some brands I like, some brands I don't. Go Power is one of the brands I liked. And part of it, too, is, they're owned by Volterra products. And you've heard me talk about Volterra, and Volterra is a good brand that I speak very highly of. So, companies that are good kind of stick together, and companies that are great buy other great products, So Volterra bought Go Power, nice little mix there. But now another thing, though, someone goes to an RV store, maybe they can't get the answers they need. The person they're talking to is, maybe not the right person. So they're a little, confused about it. Can they go to your website to really get all their questions answered, or call you guys if they can't find the answers on the website?
Yeah, both. On our website, we've got a whole video library of different products and different installations and things like that. There's I'm going to get in trouble from my marketing department, but there's almost like not an FAQ section, but like a learn more about solar and how it works catalog or booklet on there. That's a lot of people like, so that's in there. I'm saying it wrong, so she'll probably be upset, but that's how it is. But yeah, there's lots of information on there. I have it all in my head these days, it seems. But yeah, if not on our website, you can call us anytime. There's live bodies here that you can talk to, which is nice. Yeah, we're always available to help.
All right, perfect. And that's what is hard to find today sometimes are the answers to the question you need, because customer service is not really growing anymore. It's shrinking. And so keep that in mind. If you're looking at solar, you got questions, call Go Power, and hopefully you're going to buy their product as well. It is a good product. And so it all ties together. Their website reflects the company they are. It shows that they care about their customer, which is you. they want to make sure that when you buy something, it works for you, because you're going to own it for a long time, probably until you sell your RV or get rid of it, whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Mark.
it's like with the solar warranties too. There's not many companies that have been in solar to actually, we're almost there with 25 years, but we've had companies in the past that have put 100-year warranties on our solar panel, but then unfortunately they're no longer in business after a year or two. That doesn't really help. But
right.
Luckily, they're going to last. Most solar panels are fine, but still, it's something that, we always want to take care of our customers. I think you probably know that too with Altair. And the RV industry is really kind of our where we started and where we've grown from, and that's something we always want to make sure that we maintain and keep our customers happy.
All right, that's awesome. So, hey, Mark, I want to thank you very much for giving us the time over these past 2 episodes, going over all the questions about solar, and also, you represent Go Power, and great company, like I said, and, taking the time out of your day. And I'm sure you guys are going to get some questions and calls and things about that,
Sure.
But that's what it's all about. So, hey, I want to thank you again for, being on the show for the 2 episodes, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Look forward to it.
All right. That was awesome. So we just had a 2-part series on Go Power Solar and how they work in the RV industry and on your RV, whether it's pre-wired or it's a new installation, or you're just fixing up an installation, maybe a body used RV. So anyway, there's a lot of good information there, and you're going to want to check out their website, gpelectric.com. Tons of resources there, very helpful. And also you can call them, their toll-free number anytime, which I'll also have on our website at Radio Arizona RV. So I'll have links to the products. I'll have links to their website. So we're going to make it real easy for you. Just go to radioarizonarv.com and you'll be able to check out the products or check out their website or check them both out. So I want to thank you for listening. And again, I want to thank Go Power and Mark Spillsbury for spending the time for these 2 episodes. Very helpful, very educational. So thank you again. This is Eric Stark with Radio Arizona RV.